into what I think is the biggest one first. So page 6, how to stop positive emotion leading to no action. So we've got our very cool flowchart again, and it goes, there's an event that leads to an emotion that leads to a good feeling, which means it always has to go to action. So we have to stop it ever going to the non-action and just making sure all the water and all the, I don't know what analogy we're using here, but all paths lead to the action path. Yeah, and we're going to block the non-action path. That's the point. Okay, so the 2 reasons we choose no action is what? 1, it's written on the sheet.
Say safe, comfortable, certain and secure.
That's it. And the second?
We've hit the standard we find acceptable.
Yes. Does that ring true to anyone yet? Yeah. That's the most innocuous one, the one that's really, oh, I don't like that one. Okay, so let's, rather than intellectualise, let's try and get really, really clear. So think of something that you have a goal or you've done something and you've had this positive emotion, like you've wanted to feel comfortable or safe or whatever it is, and you've chosen the non-action. Let's just break it down, and then I'll say, okay, how can we do that scenario differently and turn it into the other path? But I can't keep talking in pathways. I need an actual example of what happens in someone's life.
Oh, Amanda's going to,
telling her to use you as an example.
And not for me, for her. She should talk.
I suppose the thing is, was staying in HRCOV and
Yes.
not doing EA.
Yes. So here we were in HRCAV, which made us feel what? Good. We were happy. Now there was a choice to take action and go to EA, and we were worried that was going to make us feel bad, so we stayed in non-action to stay in HRCAV, which made us happy. Until what happened? So we kept doing this loop. We were looping and looping and looping.
And I needed to suck it up and just do it and have a challenge, regardless of how bad it was going.
So was the challenge perceived as where did the smiley face kick in? So we're here, we're happy, we think about taking action, but we're sad, so we don't, and we keep doing this loop. But we're getting sick and tired of doing this loop. So we start considering this more and more and more. Are we still, and we're still feeling scared, and money, and scared. But I guess the money, is money doesn't have an emotion, but then the wasting it or the spending it, scared, sad. She said she's not pain motivated, but she's not going to be able to eat if she's wasted her money. So now we're hungry and sad. Okay, but then, and we can be happy here. So what had to change emotionally to finally get, because we're happy about this decision now, and we're happy about this action. When did this even turn up?
My first comp.
At the start, at the middle, at the end. When it's not fucking needed is when it turned up. After she completed the action.
In the first test I came last.
Good.
But
I wouldn't want this story any better. So last, are we sad about coming last?
No, I wasn't.
No, but that's an interesting, so we're scared of coming last, but then we come last and we're actually not even scared, because the fear is, nothing's worse than fear itself. The thing is, the fear is actually way worse than the actual thing. Cool, so we came last and we're happy, because you knew what?
Because I knew that it was a good achievement to be there,
Yes.
and that the challenge was, the standard was high, and therefore I had to step higher. So,
yeah. Well, I think there's a lot of emotion. So again, when we realised the fear, you didn't burst into flames. No one pointed at you, said, "You're not allowed to be here."
I didn't look like
You didn't look like an idiot. Yep.
Yeah.
And because you did that moving towards, you then had that little fire in your belly going, maybe I could come second last next time. And third last. Yes, it was a 2-day.
It was a 2-day. And each test got better.
So by the fourth test, was there any way you were going back to this original comfort zone?
No.
Because what did this comfort zone now make you feel? Hint.
Yeah.
No, but it did it? Did it?
Oh, I don't know if it made me sad, but I just thought I'm not challenged enough.
Unsatisfied, maybe.
But would you, so which comfort zone now? Which now makes you sadder or happier? Living here in EA, which can lead to sad and happy. Yep.
Living in EA makes me happier.
So there was still, you could be happy in HRCAV, but dissatisfied and knowing you're not pushing yourself. Here you're sad because you're a some-sized fish in a pond. My analogy can't figure that out right now. But the pleasure of the challenge and the pleasure of meeting the challenge and achieving outweighs this one.
Mediocre then.
Well, outweighs this one, sorry, and outweighs this one. Do you guys get that? So this happiness has to
You
be...
just used as pretty much what she said. That HRCAV, she was becoming a big fish in a small pond.
Yes.
And you changed that.
Now
to
she was
small
a
fish in
little
big
fish.
pond. Yeah,
Yes.
little fish.
Yeah, but this pleasure had to outweigh this pleasure,
Yeah.
and this pain had to...
Less than.
Yes. So you're good. So you could do... She'd be like going this pain and equals multiplied by pleasure. Oh, you'd be right on to it. Yeah, she has the PhD. So if that makes sense... Me with my mathematical brain. But does that make sense to all of us? So you really, even if you grab a piece of paper when you are not achieving a goal or you're feeling stuck or you're feeling overwhelmed and you literally go, all right, here's where I'm at. This would be my comfort zone. You know, here's where I want to be. Or no, we won't do it over there. Here's where I want to be. Here's where I want to be. Here's where I am. So this is my comfort zone of where I am. This is my comfort zone of where I want to be. And then you literally start doing your smiley faces going, well, I'm really happy here. I'm really scared about here. And like I said with Charlene, it's not like she woke up one day and said to me, oh, I've set a goal to compete EA and I'll do it tomorrow. I think you've had that goal for a couple of years. It's like, how's that goal going? And you always had, everyone always has the best excuses and the best stories. And then all of a sudden it fucking happened. It's so fucking exciting. And nothing happened to change it except Charlene changed it. Like, it's not like she won the lottery and got a new horse or something. Like, you had the same horse that you could have competed this horse, you know. That's what I love about it. It's just when you grow, yay! Just, I don't even know whether they let you in. Come through, all good.
It was fantastic.
Yes, so I really encourage you that you take this stuff. It's not a cool flow chart on a piece of paper and go, yeah. I want you to intellectualise that. So I want you to get back into your pairs. You naughty people can pair up because everyone's got their partner.
Nothing naughty about it.
And what I want you to do is talk about a goal you haven't achieved yet. Just one. Talk about your, so to describe, like draw it on a piece of paper if you want to, where your comfort zone is, and this is, you know, where you're at. This is where you'd like to be, but it scares the shit out of you, or you don't know the steps how to do it, or, you know, whatever it is. And then talk about how you can amplify. So we had a huge fear of coming last and looking silly or whatever it is around here that we couldn't overcome. And we had a little bit of dissatisfaction in HRCAV, but it wasn't enough to overcome this pain. So you've got to start then getting really creative of how you can shut down this pain and, shut down this pain and amplify this one. So you start getting really dissatisfied in HRCAV and the fear and pain of coming last doesn't seem that big. Are we all clear on what we're doing? Cool. What did we learn?
There's a lot of excuses.
It's like an epidemic. There is. Because that's all you can have. Either you've done it or you haven't done it because you weren't interested in doing it. But I said pick a goal that you actually wanted. So there can only be excuses because you didn't achieve it. I said pick a goal you hadn't achieved. So therefore that was the only thing the room could be filled with. And what did we learn from sharing our excuses? They're all similar.
You can be really logical in your head, but when you actually tell someone, you're like, oh.
Yeah, oh, it's so real. It's like, this is just guaranteed, you know, a really good reason or excuse, and then you're like, yeah, it's just bullshit, isn't it?
Can actually be
Logic, it's like, oh, okay.
financial reasons.
Yeah.
Or like your horse is actually going to die if you do that. Or like there are actual logical reasons, but a lot of the time it's just bad.
Yes.
Unlogical reasons.
Yeah. What else? Does anyone feel a little uncomfortable? A little bit shitty? A little bit upset? Or not? It was just, no, here's my really valid set of excuses why I didn't achieve the goals, and I'm perfectly happy with that. Talk to me.
Frustrated and angry because I know it's been going on for so long, and like as you said, like it's ingrained from child. Like these are things that we have to break, and we just need to, getting into your head, we avoid it, don't we? Like we're looking at, it's really easy to go, oh, she's doing the wrong thing, she should be doing A.
Yes, we are so good for the other person, yeah.
But when you're looking at yourself, the excuses come up and you go.
But they're real to you. Yeah, they're not, you don't even call them excuses, they're just the reasons.
Yeah.
The reality of the world, yeah. What else did we learn, uncover?
Annoyed.
You're annoyed?
No, I've been here before, and I know I've gotten through this before.
Yeah.
And I have to do it again, but still, I suppose it's someone older, and
Oh,
it's just an excuse.
I was about to say, I'm just hearing.
Yeah. Yeah. Annoyed.
Good. What else are we feeling?
Disappointed in myself.
Yeah. Great, we're feeling great.
I'm really amused.
You're feeling amused? Bemused and amused.
Excuses, when you actually think about it, you're like, oh god, that's like the worst excuse you can use. For
Need to
some
suck
reason
it
it was
up.
logical.
Yeah.
But you can also drag real things like, as you know, I lost my partner a year ago. And yes, I'm still grieving a year later, but how long can I use that as an excuse?
And the answer to that question is, as long as you choose. You give me 20 years, you know, and that's, you know, there is no answer. No one else can answer that.
No, but I don't want to stay where I am because of that. So.
And in another world, in another scenario, you could have used it as a huge catalyst to change everything, to be that shining light. Because, you know, if you had a dream or a belief that he's looking down, you're going to go, guess what? From this moment. Yeah. It's all leverage. What else? Anything else cool that we learnt? Did we get any clarity of how to increase pain in one and decrease pain in the other?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay. All right, well then if you go to page 7, there's just a couple of questions for you to think about. So in the past, when did you choose comfort over action? I want you to list all the times that you chose comfort over action. Let's go in the last 12 months. Kate, more lines. In the past, when did you choose certainty over action? In the past, when did you choose happiness over action? And what did these choices cost you? Okay, how was that? Hard. Hard to fill out or hard to read and see?
Just to think of things, and I'm not good at just answering questions. Then I need days and days to mull over things.
Okay. Well, you might want to do that over Christmas because there is things that you've chosen happiness over. Yeah. All right. What else?
Mine was all like the certainty and happiness. I was like, meh, but the comfort,
Yeah.
I was like, meh.
20 things. Yeah. And that's it. Like, to me, all of those things can almost be the same thing, but I wanted to just come up with different words because, like you said, something they trigger. Yeah. Any other cool, enlightening?
Easy to block things out, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like it's easy to kind of, and that's protecting yourself from pain, but just to say, no, struggling to actually think of things where I'm sure like I do it multiple times every day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then what about what it's cost you? What does it cost you? Tell me what it's cost. Nothing?
Lost opportunities.
Lost opportunities. What else? Come on, more pain. Experiences. Joy. Health. You're not. Letting yourself down. Not being all you can be. being a poor representation of everything that you could be representing. What else has it cost?
One of the strongest ones for me is the example I'm setting for my kids.
Oh, that's a good one! Bad example! Oh, that hurts. That hurts! Oh. Anything else that we want to add to that list?
Well, it's the long-term goals, isn't it? Like we're compromising the how great or how big that goal can be, you know? Now, if you use money, for example, the longer you wait to save, the longer, like the less you're going to have in the bank at the end of the day. Whereas if you do it now, you can do so much more.
And I can't fathom why humans, they choose I understand human behaviour, I do it myself, you know, the short-term gratification of I'll have the Tim Tam now, at the cost of your dreams, at the cost of everything you could have and be and enjoy. It's, yes. Okay, anything you want to discuss before we move on? No, that's good. Okay. So I just want you to start being really, really conscious as you move into the next 12 months of going, uh-oh, am I choosing comfort? Uh-oh, am I choosing security? Uh-oh, and if I am, so I am not comfortable with being comfortable. Yes, that's right. So when I was learning to ride a horse and then starting to get quite a few lessons, I realised from what the coaches were saying, if it felt comfortable, I was in the wrong position. You know, if I felt, oh yeah, I think I'm sitting where I should be and I feel really good and I've got my hands right, it was the wrong spot. When I felt I was leaning too far back or too far forward or that I couldn't ride and I was going to bounce off the saddle, that was when the coach was going, yes, more of that. And of course, that was where my body had to be. But did it feel comfortable? Did it feel secure? Did it, no, because I didn't have any of the muscle memory needed to sit there. But was I ever going to sit well if I kept leaning forward? So that was my position, and then the coach said, sit back, and you feel like you're doing this, but actually you're just straight. And I just went, okay, and my goal was to go to the next lesson and they would have to say, now you're sitting too far back, or now you've got your right shoulder too far back, or now there was one lesson I was with a position guy and he was like, left shoulder up, so I'm like, right, show him. And he's gone, and I did it for 3 weeks until finally said, you can put that down a little bit. But I felt like it was here, but it was probably, it was like this, and I was just bringing it to here. So, that exaggeration and pushing yourself. So it's the same how I live my life. If I'm comfortable, I'm doing it wrong. I'm doing it wrong. Growth is such an important value of mine and feels, and I just, feels a bit more, yeah, everything's cool. And I'm like, nothing's good enough. Nothing. So I think that's a good bridge into the next segment of what we're doing, which is standards. So I've told a couple of people, everyone, obviously I've gone to England and had a really cool opportunity in riding over there. And the first thing you learn when you go to a place like that and ride with the best is your difference in standards. So my standard, my first lesson I wasn't even allowed to canter. Not good enough. Eventually we got into canter, and then Spenny was like, what do you want to work on? And I'm like, oh, let's do flying changes. And he's like, all right, go down the long side, do one to the left, one to the right. I'm like, done. And I'm looking in the mirror and I'm so proud of myself. Like, I came back and he was like, okay, stop. And he's like, so how was that? I'm like, yeah, it was pretty good. And I don't think I said pretty good. I said, yeah, that was okay. And he's gone, Tash, that was really bad. And I'm like, I'm so sorry. And I was like, but it was straight. I could see in the mirror relatively straight. It was clean, which to me in Australia is the standard. Clean change, not late behind, not late in front. It was relatively on the bit. His head was on the vertical. What else do you want? Because the standard, which we compete in Australia is a 6.57 and fairly straight, fairly round, clean is the standard. That's the criteria that we're all looking to achieve, because that's really hard to get, yeah? Flying changes are super hard. Like, I remember doing them in Tambo and would lose the rhythm, would bolt off, and then he'd change in front, then he'd change in behind, and then he'd change back again, and then would, 10 strides later be somehow miraculously on the correct lead, and I'd be like, thank you very much. And that would be a 3 or a 4. So to get to here, I'm like, score, I'm pretty good. That's really bad, apparently. He was like, flying changes, they need to fly. That's why they're called flying. I'm like, Thought it was just a figure of speech. He's gone, where was your expression? I'm like, really? We want expression now. He's gone, it could have been straighter. Like I'm like, straighter? Really? How straight does this have to be? It could have been rounder. But then like I'd go, okay, I'm getting the horse rounder. No, don't put it deeper, just get it rounder. What? Just make the trot bigger, but don't make it faster. What? There was just all these standards, and I literally just would come home every day and feels like, what'd you work on? I trotted in a circle. I'm trying to do that better. Like, I can't trot very well. And it was like suddenly these new standards and this new criteria, you know, like, and it wasn't okay to just, I'd be riding and then he's like, what was that? I'm like, it was a half pass. And he's like, yeah, but it wasn't good. I'm like, but it was a half pass. It went sideways, it had bend, but it needed a lot more bend. It needed a lot more expression. It needed a lot more engagement. It needed a lot more. I'm just like, oh man. So everything I was doing that at home was good enough was shit. Like, don't even bother turning up. He's like, and he's like, no, you don't get to do half pass. Come again on your trot circle. Now add a little bit of travers. No, stop. Okay, no, sorry, went too quick for you, Natasha. Let's just add bend in the trot. Okay, Spenny. Going around with bend. Now half halt and add travers, keeping the bend. Because what would happen is I'd try, well, actually it was a movement in the canter. So I'd canter and then he'd go like half pass and he'd go, okay, too fast. Okay, then he'd go canter, travers. He's going, Tash, you just can't do this. I'm like, I'm so sorry. I think I can do this. I'm not retarded. I can do this. And he's going, okay, firstly get bend. And what would happen is, because when I moved into, firstly my transition, I'd be cantering and then he'd go like travers or half pass. Basically you can half pass on a canter circle forever because the circle never finishes. So it's the same thing, a travers on a circle is the half pass. And what would happen is I'd go, rah! You know, and the horse would be like, rah! And I'd be like, rah, we're in it! Now we're going to stay in it. And he's like, that's not how it should look. Easy. I'm like, easy? Again, new standard, it has to look easy. And then he was saying, what's happened to your canter? I'm like, oh, I guess I've lost it. So then he really broke it down. It was canter. Then add bend, but don't lose what you had in the canter. Keep the rhythm, keep the roundness, keep everything. So firstly I couldn't canter, then finally we could tick, Natasha can canter on a 20-metre circle and actually look quite, you know, for an 8 or a 9. Good, Natasha, good. All right, let's add some hard shit now. All right, so add travers. Whoa, that was too much because I just straight away lost the canter again. So then we just added bend. First step, keep the bend, but keep the, you know, then we could half halt and add the travers while we kept the bend, while we kept the roundness, while we kept the rhythm, and then we could eventually turn it into a working pirouette. It took 4 months. But that is the standards that suddenly changed. And I've obviously come back home and my horses are just like, what the hell? Because then there's new standards. It's not okay to do this or that. So again, let's get a feel for what's going on in the room. What's your standard for a centre line? Straight. Straight, square.
Square, well, you go up the centre line, it has to be even in the trot rhythm.
Rhythm.
Connection.
We want it round.
Yeah.
Straight, square, square, halt, round. Now, who actually achieves this standard?
That are winning.
And I would say we all get it to this level. Like I would get fairly square and fairly straight and fairly rhythm and fairly round, which was what's the 7 actually defined in dressage? Fair. Fairly good. So it was all about being over there. And we all know we're not scoring 100%. We all know we're not scoring 10s. We all know the standard should be, it has to be dead square. It has to be straight. It has to be rhythmic. But because there's no one holding us to that standard, fairly standard seems to be enough. So what I want you to do is think about what's going on in, so think about, let's do another example. What's another example you want to talk about?
Oh, you could go health or weight.
Yeah, health. So without even asking Phil, what is Phil's standard for his health? You don't need to ask.
You just have to look.
You just have to. Charlene looks a lot. You know, you can tell, you don't need to know that this man's standard is, you know, 8% body fat. That if there was 15% body fat on this person, that is a non-negotiable, it's got to go. Whereas what's someone else's standard? Like, I think I'm on 35% body fat. I don't have that standard. Who would like to have that much, well, he's a boy. But, you know, like, who would like, we all want a good standard. We all want that. But what you have to remember, this is the biggest definition. I think I've written it down, but please write it down again. A goal is what you want. A standard is what you have. Don't go and tell me that you have a higher standard. You don't. The standard is what you have.
Goal is what you want and not the standard is what you have.
So the only way to achieve your goal is to establish and embrace the standard needed. What did you say? Sorry.
I said, oh no, I've got pretty low standards.
Yeah, but if you've got high goals, you just need to bring the standards up.
Someone told me the saying once, simple things done with excellence. So you all do everything, you know, it's always a straight line, but how excellent can that simple task be? Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now what was that saying?
Simple things done with excellence.
What I also like to think about is finances is a good one. So if you all have a level of finances, that means you have a roof over your head. You've obviously, you know, I can assume that. If I suddenly bankrupted all of you, made you homeless, and you had no home, no money, no nothing, what would you do?
Go home to mummy and daddy.
I want to go back to my standard. Like, I want to go back to I'd be trying to somehow work out how I could go back to where I was if I'd lost everything.
Yes, all of you, 3 jobs. Going back to mum and dad is still getting my standard of a roof over my head, and I'll work and get my house back. All of you, but how come, who has a goal for living in a 10-bedroom mansion? No one has that goal. Well, then I shouldn't have used losing your house. Shouldn't have done losing your house. Okay, we need a new analogy. What's a new analogy? Riding. Let's do, so what's a goal? What's the standard? Okay, does everyone have a goal? Can we say a goal to go Grand Prix? And what's the standard you're riding at right now? Let's say prelim.
Say prelim, yeah.
Yeah, okay, so why aren't you riding Grand Prix? Because what if I took you out of prelim and put you on a lead? You're on a lead pony now. You're not allowed off the lead or the lunge, and you're not allowed to trot or canter. You're walking. You want to raise your standards. You want to go, no, I can do a prelim test. I can do that. And you would do everything you can to fix that and make that happen. So why aren't you doing everything you can to fix that and make that happen for Grand Prix?
Because you haven't been there and felt and done that.
Ah.
Is that, I don't know.
So how did you know you had a standard of living with a roof over your head?
Because you haven't.
Well, you were born, hopefully, with a roof over your head. And that's the thing, like people that were born without a roof over their head, some increase their standards. They see pictures and they go, oh, I want to go live in the Western world where they eat Tim Tams and have roofs over their heads or whatever it is. But unless we get exposure, which is what the England thing was, exposure to a new standard, it is hard to lift our standards. So it's all very well in me saying, okay, your goal is what you want, the standard is what you have, raise your standards. So there's a guy I know from 10 years ago, he does coaching, and literally he charges $10,000. People come into his room and he just goes, raise your standards, raise them. Raise them. And he's very true. But then we've really got to think about how are we going to raise our standards. And Tony Robbins tells the story of he thought he was doing pretty well and he had a house and it was all great. Then he had to house sit a castle in Bel Air. Like it was literally this mansion thingy. And he came back home and he's like, this is shit! What do you mean 2 fucking bedrooms? He does, I know I'm doing an Australian accent, he's not Australian. But he just was so dissatisfied. Suddenly, you know, in Charlene's example, the pain of being in a 2-bedroom house was so much more painful now than all the tasks that he would have to do to create an income that could afford a goddamn castle. But now that pain was nothing compared, you know, the pain of staying was now too painful. So he had to
That's
move.
why people often want to go live where they've been on holidays. because it seems so nice and it's more glamorous. Or,
Yeah, well, it's
you know,
it's
I'll go
standard.
live there.
Absolutely. So I need you guys to really, really think about how you can change your standards and how you can have an experience of the new standard, which is why we were talking a little bit with the kinesthetic board, going, well, if you want a Ferrari, go drive one. If you want to ride a Grand Prix horse, you want to ride Grand Prix, go ride a Grand Prix and feel what that back feels like. So doing that with your standards is super, 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 super important. So what I want you to do is go to page 8. And I do this constantly. Like I kept saying to Phil, just this morning I think I was saying, you know, if this had happened, we would be doing this, this and this, and we're not doing this and this and this because this hasn't happened. We should pretend it has and do this, this and this. You know, because to stay comfortable, it's again, the comfort zone. It's like, we're doing okay, it's all fine, you know, there's a roof, there's, the kids are fed, everything's, you know, okay. No, 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 more standards, more standards, more standards. So what are your current standards for health? Like I said, Phil's standard for health is different to mine. My standard for health is different to someone who has skinned someone into their couch and literally cannot get up off the couch. That's the only difference. Yeah? So you want to say your standards. Now, what if I all put you, because you can all move, you can all get up off the couch, what if I all put you in that 500 kilo body and couldn't get off the couch? What would you all do? How?
Try and get up the
Whatever you have to do.
Yeah, so for me, I wouldn't eat. Someone else would start moving, like you'd get like 20 people to lift you up. And I think I've seen people for 500 kilos, their exercise is clapping because it's really strenuous. Okay, go do that. But you see how you would do that. Now, that's all we have to do. So brainstorm your current standard for health. So you don't even need to go to the 500 kilos. What's your current standard for health, which is currently what you have right now? Yeah.
Tash, that's still going back to something you already know. So if you want to make your standard, like if you are 500 kilos and you've only ever been 500 kilos, you probably wouldn't go, I want to get back to where I was, because you don't...
Well, because that's coming back to my standard. So, but like whoever's personal standard is.
100 kilos or whatever, how would they...
They have to do it. No, the 500, if the 500 kilo person was in this room, I would say, what is your current standard for health? They would say 500 kilos and I can't get off the couch. I would say, what would happen if you fell below that standard? What if, I mean, we're using a real exaggerated thing anyway, but what if you had to go on oxygen? What would you do? Maybe that person would then say, I would start to not eat breakfast. Why aren't you not eating breakfast now? So that's how you do the exercise, you know. So for your emotional state, what's your current state, standard for your emotional state? Maybe it's that you feel happy 10% of the time. So what would you do? What actions would you take if you only then felt happy 1% of the time? Would you go see a comedy club? Would you call for more friends? Would you, I don't know, brainstorm what you would do if your happiness, because whatever your current level is here, what would you do if it dropped by 10% or 50%? What actions? Because we would all take actions, because the life you have right now is the life you accept. You will not accept less, because otherwise you would be living what you would accept less. So what you have right now is what you have accepted. You would all freak out if I took that away from you. So put yourself, and that's why it's going to be different for everyone in the room, whatever your current standard is and whatever that would mean when I took it away from you. But you would all start running like little hamsters and fixing it, not to get higher, not to, you know, have Phil's health. It would just be to get back to what your standard is. I want to know what those actions are. Are we all clear? Cool. All right. So that's on page 8. Okay, so let's discuss. What did we learn there? What's going on? You're shaking your head.
Yeah, it's not good.
It's not good, Leanne. What's happened?
The standards of most of me, where I am now, have most of me dropped to below what they should be, well and truly. And if it was my daughter, I'd be saying do lots more and giving lots of advice well before now.
Yeah. Thank you for being honest and confronting that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good job.
There's lots of things I could be doing now.
Instead of waiting for that other 10% to drop. But it is, because why do them now? Because you don't have to.
I do.
You do, but you don't. You're not, so you don't. You've got to remember, and this is where most people in the goal setting course, I talk about dreaming big, dreaming big. And what does someone normally put their hand up and say? But how will you achieve that? How will that be possible? So 99.9% of the population goes, here's my goal, here's my standard. One of these has to move. So what do? Can't we just have the goal as get to novice or get to whatever it is it could be, rather than here's the dream, 10 Olympic gold medals, how do I now raise my standard to be that? And why don't people want to move the standard? It's hard.
It's painful.
It's painful. It leads to more pain. It's all over. Why are we here? So we need to be that 0.01% that goes, I'm going to raise my standard to meet my goal, because this is a non-negotiable.
So it means you live pretty much constantly dissatisfied with where you are.
If you're trying to raise your standards to reach your goal, welcome to my world. Oh, I have so much happiness.
It's all pain.
Happiness in the pain? Happiness in the journey. The 10, I already know with 100% certainty 10 gold does not make me happy. The pain of coming last does. The pain of going to England and trotting in a circle because you're that crap does. Not that I'm human. I came home crying, I'm so shit and so bad, I just want to give up, what's the point? I'm not Edward Garl at Olympia winning, blah, 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 I'll never have a horse like that, I'll never be a rider like that, let's just go home. All that, but still some sick pleasure, because this isn't moving. This is not moving. So I have to find joy and happiness, love and laughter in the journey, because the journey is the journey. And that's what I always say in dressage mastery. The first Tambo, God bless him, the first horse I took to Grand Prix, it was the worst journey of my entire life. There was no happiness. It was just frustration, pain, all anger, all shittiness, all crappiness, all feeling bad about myself, confusion. It was just awful. So now I know enough to know that is just the normal journey. So I'll choose to feel lightness and irreverence when something bad happens on the arena, because it's something bad will happen on the arena. And the first time I did it, I chose to feel frustration and made that mean that I was shit and made it mean that my horse. So now I choose to go, oh, that's just what they do. They have their changes and then they lose them for 6 months. Oh, good. Or whatever it is, which I guess you can say also comes from having walked that journey before. Okay, what else have we learnt about the standards?
They're not, my current standards aren't good enough because they're very negative as I'm writing them out. I'm obviously not happy with my current standards.
Yeah, but they're acceptable. You don't have to be happy about it, but you are accepting them.
Yeah.
You don't even realise what you've accepted till you write it down. Yeah.
It's scary, isn't it?
This is what I'm happy.
You're like, and you're arguing, you're like, no! But apparently so. But no! I have goals, I want this! But apparently this is all I'm happy, like this is fine too. Apparently. What else?
Even the ones that you're relatively happy with, there's still more you can do.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's not even
There's always another level. Yeah. Damn it. Damn it. Okay, so where are we? Yes, so Tony Robbins talks about, he says this thing that still to this day I hate. If I can't, what do you think he says after that? I must. What? If I can't, I must. If I can't, I must. If I can't, I must. Just write that down. And just do that. But your standards only change when you turn your shoulds into musts. Not I should go for a walk, but I must walk. Not I should ride my horse, but I must ride. Not I should do my resume and apply for that other job. I must. When you make it a must, when you make that commitment to yourself, that promise to yourself that this is happening, that this is now what I'm doing, things change. but we are all so good at, and that's why goal setting's so much fun, because that's just, well, we should do all of this and then we'd have all of this in this magical fairyland world of make-believe. Now this is the workshop where we actually create that. This is the hard stuff. Cool. All right. So, and remember your must, so I've done an example of a relationship. If someone has a must for feeling love in their lives, are they going to find a relationship or not? Like, I must feel love and passion and someone to share my life with. Yeah. And what if someone has a must, I must avoid pain. I must avoid getting close to someone. So again, when actions happen, when things are happening in life, it's not about the thing that's happening. You've got to go deeper and going into, well, what's the underlying belief here, or the commitment. And if someone's going around with, I must not get hurt, I must not get hurt, I must not get hurt, they're going to change the entire world, to fit in with, well, this is what will come in so you don't get hurt, as opposed to someone going, I must feel love, I must feel love, I must feel love. I'm not saying anything about the success of these relationships. Someone who's going around saying, I must feel love, might still find someone who's not so nice. But they will find someone, as opposed to the person going, I must not get hurt. They might be saying no to someone who's amazing for them, but they're doing that self-defense.
So if you go around saying I must not fail, then you'll never try it anyway.
I must not fail, that double negative. I must succeed. Is that right?
Yeah.
Because it's not fail.
Must not succeed is, I think, what you're trying to say.
I must not succeed. Oh, Miss PhD, you're doing my head in.
It must be I must succeed or I won't.
I must succeed, yes. Yeah, well, if you walked around with the I must succeed, you're going to succeed, because it's a must. But then also look at the path. Like, I must succeed, therefore I kill my parents. Or something crazy.
So you don't want to fail, so you don't try.
Yeah. I don't know how to word that in that.
Oh, yeah, I must not I must not fail. Exactly how you said it. I know. I must not fail. Yeah.
You must succeed. You see,
That is, that's confusing because that's not exactly it.
But it's so you just, the must isn't strong enough. So you just, there's no must in it.
Because it's along the lines of, I must not feel pain, but it doesn't quite work when you do it with
We'll work on that. Because I really feel I must not feel pain does, in my head, feel different and seem different to I must succeed. Because I must succeed is I will find success at all costs. I must not fail does mean, therefore, could include that element of therefore not doing anything. Because the risk of failure is there, is present. Whereas I must succeed is, if failure is part of that, it doesn't matter, because at the end result is I must succeed. So I think, again, you bring everything so here, like I must not fail immediately, and it's like, well, does it matter if you succeed eventually? And you're like, but it's here. And it's like, fuck, just delete all the, get the eraser out and delete everything here and just focus over here, because you don't like focusing over here. And it's like, okay, Tim Tam now, or, and it's like, just now, and everything's here. Cool. All right. We're getting there. It's a journey. All right. So I just want to maybe think about your standards a little bit more. So we've got someone with poor standards. Who would someone with poor standards be?
Apparently all of us.
No one in this room has poor standards.
Like you thinking like a drug addict or something like that?
Yeah. So someone with basically no standards. They just, but their mentality. So I always think, so you've got poor standards, good, excellence, and a whole new level.
But they're all relative.
Yeah, Western world, first world, you mean third world, yeah, third world problems. But how I also see it is the more, I can't spell, the more responsibility you take, the more your standards will improve. With someone with poor standards, are they saying, it's my fault I'm here because of the path that I took and the choices I made in my life? So they're doing the blame, the victim, the excuses, the everything. It's not their fault or anything to do with them that they're living homeless on the street. Then we get to good standards. So what happens when you have good standards? Is this where you think 99.9% of the world live? Because what are we even told when we're kids? Be a good girl or boy. So we strive for good. We strive to be good. Good citizens, obey the rules, have a good house, have a good job. Good, 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 good. That's all we're programmed and conditioned to. Did your mother and father sit you down and go, all right. So, you know, when you grow up, you're going to have the most excellent job that you could ever imagine, and the most excellent house that you could ever imagine, and the most excellent, it was just, you know, get a good job, get a good education, get a good job, so you get good enough to go into a good uni to then get a good job and live a good life. That was goals, hashtag goals. So no one pushed for excellence. Now, that's what we're trying to do. We're going from good, trying to push to excellence. Yes? Are we okay to do that? What's even fucking more exciting is there's this whole other standard. And I'm not saying you have to push for it, but it's kind of the, when you aim for the moon, you end up around the stars, so it's still pretty good. Something around that. So we aim for outstanding and land at excellence. That's okay. Now the difference between outstanding and excellence is 2 millimetres. Let me explain. So apparently, the gap between your lower lip and your nose, if that's the same, you're nodding, have you heard this? It's so weird. If that's the same as your pupil in darkness, you are pretty. You're like good looking. If it's larger, hang on, let me get this right. It's either larger or smaller. I'm going somewhere with this. If it's smaller, sorry. No, this distance between your lip and your nose, if that's the same as your pupil in darkness, because it's bigger, if it's the same, in size.
If it's as dark, so you've got a moustache then.
I can't do this. Yes, if it's the same, you got me crying, it's so funny. I don't even know why it's so funny. Okay, if it's the same, you are really pretty. If it is, let me get my notes right. Where was it? Oh, you've totally distracted me. If it is smaller, you are the most stunning creature on earth and everyone wants to sleep with you.
Which is smaller, the nose bit?
No.
It's being funny.
So you mean the whole yellow blue
Iris.
Pupil.
the black bit? The black bit. You're tiny and I'm stuffed. In darkness.
Oh my god! All right, let's just go back to big picture. It doesn't really matter. And if it's
You are. Don't worry. Doesn't matter how big.
And if the gap is larger, you are horribly ugly. Now, when plastic surgeons go and create faces, they know all of this, and there's a whole other diet. But the difference is 2 millimetres. If you run the 100-metre sprints, stay with me, guys. Let's move on. 100-metre sprints, and you run 4th fastest in the world, and the person who won is 2/100ths of a second faster. Whose name do you remember?
Not yours.
Not for number 4.
No.
Do you know how effing close you were? 2/100ths of a second, and you don't matter.
That sucks.
This is 2 millimetres or 2/100ths of a second. Michael Jordan always says, I expected more from myself than anyone else could ever expect of me. And that's why I'm Michael Jordan. So I'm not saying do this for your parents, do this for use them as leverage if you want to, do it. But at the end of the day, have your own personal standard, have your own personal map of what you want to have and make it outstanding. Make it that you have more heart, more grit, more, to be the best in the world. I'm not saying we all have to be Olympians, but you want to push yourself to the Olympic level in every area. Have Olympic health and have Olympic finances and have Olympic whatever else it is. Yeah?
No.
Yeah, let's do that. Okay. And really that outstanding is your hero. It's your hero's journey. And as you take more responsibility and as you take more acceptance of my world is my world and I create it, and if something's not going how I want it, it's up to me to fix. You know, I think it was on one of our diaries one year, if it is to be, it's up to me. All two-letter words. But nothing is truer. That's what an outstanding person does.
So I find it hard, if I'm at good, to visualise outstanding.
Just get to excellence first.
Or even excellent.
All right, a specific example.
Like having all that money and living in a mansion or something, I've no idea, because I'm kinesthetic, I've no idea what that feels like, and I don't know if I want it.
So what do you know that you want?
To be 30 kilos lighter?
Yeah.
I don't know what that feels like either. But it can still be something I aim for in a more, like, I know it's what I want, so I can aim for it without having to know what it feels like.
We are still thinking on all this thinking.
Excellence would be 15 kilos maybe, and outstanding would be 30.
No.
If you don't know what it feels like, then what do you want?
Because this feels bad.
But how do you know that's going to feel better?
Because it has to.
Well, what's the emotion like when you think of yourself like that? What's the emotion around it?
I feel happy.
Yeah, so you need to connect with that.
Except she's pain motivated.
Being like
So
this
then
is
does it
painful.
matter what it feels like to be 30 kilos lighter because you just don't like this?
Yeah.
So focus on that.
Yeah,
Focus on it
it
being
feels-
worse.
Yeah, well that's
being
what,
worse. Don't worry
that's
about
why that
where
last
it's going
exercise is good.
Don't worry
'cause
about where it's going to go. Focus on what it's going to be like if you're 10 kilos heavier. 20, 30, 40,
Well, that's why the
50.
last exercise was good, because if I was 20 kilos heavier, then I'd do these things, and it's like, why not do
Would you though?
now?
And we'll talk about it in the next session. The next thing is when we talk about whys. And a big thing why this excellence and outstanding thing is good for me, I said I was pain motivated, but I'm also I'm driven by significance. So I want to be the hero. I want to be the best. I want to be not for the pleasure of being the best, but just to win, to get the significance of being the best, which is different to the happiness of being the best. I'm not happy. I just need to be significant. You know, anyone driven by significance will fucking understand this. It's very important. So the vague thing is, you know, important, special, number one. Yeah, just everyone on the planet has a need to feel special, but you might not necessarily be driven by it. Cool. Okay. All right, then we want to turn to page 9, and you need to make a new commitment. So, there's nothing for the camera. All we heard was a shit from somewhere over here. So there's only one line. So you're either going to commit to excellence, or you're going to commit to outstanding, or you're going to commit to both. But you are going to commit to excellence or outstanding because none of you are none of you have poor standards. Yay! Yeah. Hey, let's celebrate our wins, guys. We're good. Yes. All right, so you've got a new table. So I commit to excellence or I commit to outstanding. My new standards are. So what are your new standards for health? So this again is I know, Amanda, you're going, well, what am I writing here? You are writing your ultimate goal. You are.
No, I understand what I'm writing.
Yeah, but it's your new standards for the next 12 months. So if you think, you know, it's going to take 3 years or 4 years to do your dream vision, just what's your new standards? And it might even be something you think you can achieve in 6 months. What's the new standard that basically you're going to now feel uncomfortable from now on until you reach? Because, you know, I made you feel uncomfortable because you're quite happy where you are right now. If I ripped out 10% of that, you're now getting all itchy and going, this is really bad, I have to do something. What is your new standard you commit to? So therefore you now feel itchy and going, oh my God, this is really bad. I have to do something because this is a disaster where I'm going to be. So, because obviously where you are right now is not going to be good because you want to be 10% higher. So basically, yeah, we just took 10% down. So let's just go 10% higher than your current standard. What are you currently accepting right now? Just make it 10% higher and then tell me what your new actions are. Okay. Okay, so how was that? What have we committed to? Who wants to share some new actions, some new standards, and who's like 100% like wants to publicly state it to everyone that this is the new thing that they're doing? Yes.
So wait, am I?
Oh, hang on. Sorry, Georgia. Hang on. Okay. Yep. Go.
So am I just like reading out? Like, what am I reading?
Yeah, the thingy.
Oh, okay.
So your new standard for a certain area and your new actions.
So, let me choose.
Choose writing or how.
Okay. Pardon? Choose
Yeah,
writing?
no, choose whichever one.
I'll choose the physical body.
Yes.
So my new standards are in 12 months' time. I've hit 72 kilograms. I'm fit enough to do 2 point for 45 minutes, sit trot for 45 minutes, 20 pull-ups, 50 push-ups, and I've listed like a lot of other gym goals. And my new actions are, I am gymming 5 times a week. I am eating breakfast and lunch. Monday to Friday, I'm having healthy food, which is easy. I just don't do it. Saturday and Sunday, I'm eating breakfast and lunch, which is healthy. And Saturday and Sunday night dinner, I can do a cheat. The riding goals, so the 2 point and sit trot, are in my riding actions.
Okay. And if you woke up and you were 90 kilos, you woke up tomorrow and you were 90 kilos, what actions would you take? I'm a magic person. You wake up tomorrow and you're 90. No, don't look at anything. Just tell me.
I'd be very cranky at myself to start with, and then if I woke up and I had time, I would right then go out and do a run. And then that afternoon, if I didn't have time that morning, I'd run the afternoon. Otherwise, that afternoon after I'd done my run, I would set out my week to be doing gymming, riding more horses, working my horses.
Okay. Is that the exact same action plan that you just wrote down?
No, similar. That's in my riding part.
No, whatever, but you said something about a run in the morning and a run in the afternoon for your physical body. Is that the same in the plan?
Yes.
Good. It's just, it needs to be the same. It needs to be that same urgency of actions. You're not here to make a list of what you should do. I am here to emotionally move you that you do the actions anyway because you're so dissatisfied and so itchy. Do you get the difference? Okay? That's why we write habit lists, and that's why we write goals, and that's why we do all of that and write plans. Very, very important. But now I have to actually move you, which means I have to emotionally move you, which means I need to put you in a place where you just feel, and I'll do that tomorrow as well, where you feel so dissatisfied with where you are right now that you absolutely have to move, but also that you just enough that you've woken up. If 90 kilos is not the standard that you would want to be, and you would, all of a sudden not eat, run 5 times a day and do that, we'll do it now. If your new standard is to be a certain weight that you're not at right now, do those actions now. Get that urgency, get that feeling of this has to happen now or there's a problem. Does that make sense? Okay, good. Anyone else want to share? Okay. Let me tell you a story. Let's break up the mood a little bit. So, there's a guy in the Chinese gymnastics team, and the Chinese have never won. Russia's always won. They're at the Olympics, and they're like, oh God, Russia's always won. But they've got a really good chance, and they're doing really, really well. And I don't know how it happens. God, Phil, can I actually get you to do the story, or you don't know the story? Phil always picks on me for my stories, because I literally just go, there was a guy at the Olympics, and he won, the end. Not so good with the details. But anyway, all right, so I continue with my great story. Okay, so I can't remember, can you remember how he broke his leg? I just know the leg's broken.
Just on one of his lands.
Okay, so in a previous thing, I don't think that's how it happens, but let's say he landed, he broke his leg. So he's in the hospital and all his teammates come to see him and they're like, is there any way you can perform tomorrow because we're going to win the gold. We just need you to score a 9.8 on the rings. And he's like, well, the doctors, it's broken. And it literally was broken. It's not like a little tear or a muscle thing, like it snapped. Now, what would 99.9999% of the population... I know they're all Olympians. I know they've all pushed themselves. But what would we do in that? What would logic and even emotions tell us?
Not to do it.
You can't. This is the end. You do not get the gold. What does an outstanding person do? He goes, well, I only have to, the only time I need my leg is for the landing, because I'm on the rings. So he gets up on the rings and he does his, you know, he's going around and everything's great. In the back of his mind, he knows that landing's there, and if he flinches, if he falls, if he does anything, he won't get a 9.8 and they won't win the gold. He knows he has to stick that landing. He knows he has to put his arms up. He knows he has to do that. Then he can crumple. But he has to land on that landing. And if he doesn't put his weight on that leg and he doesn't commit with 100% of everything that he's got, it's not going to stick and he's not going to get the gold. Of course he sticks. Of course he gets the gold. And that is a true story. I just haven't told it very well. But that, to me, when I think of outstanding, is those. That's why who likes the Olympics? Even if you have no aspirations for the Olympics. Like, I love the Winter Olympics. It's really cold. I have no aspiration to become, but I just love the stories. And we don't even like, you know, okay, you won a gold, but we like the story of the hero like Michael Phelps. I don't care, like, I didn't know if I liked Michael Phelps or not, but you love 8 golds. The story of how do you do that? The hero, the person that pushes beyond what we would, again, expect of any human being. Oh, okay, maybe you could get 5 golds. That would be the human limit. And then someone pushes it and pushes it again. So again, I don't know if that inspires you or makes you feel nothing, but I just want you to realise whatever's in your head, you know, you can push yourself more. You guys realise you are all capable of more than what you've been bringing to the table. You're all capable of so much more. It's just whether or not you want to bring it and finding what motivates you to bring it. If I said to all of you, hey, do you want to break your leg and then go, you know, put yourself under extreme pain and land a thing for a bit of gold? No. I want to sit on the couch and eat a Tim Tam. That's what I want to do. But we've all got to tap in and find that reason why and that motivation. And it doesn't have to be the Olympic rings for you, but what is it for you in your life that you want to bring outstanding? And it's the heart. It's as Tony says, it's a mindset more than it's anything else. Cool. How are we? How are we feeling? Yeah? Any questions? What'd you say? Had to be 1 o'clock. Yes, any questions about what we've just covered? Thoughts, comments, anything? No, we're good. All right then, we have lunch and then come back at